fiercely competitive Spec-5 World Tour's new season 18 goes to VIR tonight. Ambient temperature 66 in the air, 75 on the track. A beautiful day at one of North America's most beautiful and spectacular road racing venues. 45 minutes of MX5 racing ahead of us. It's always close. It's always super competitive. Who'll come out on top? We'll just have to wait and see. To bring you live coverage here on HJBC of Spec-5 World Tour, I'm David Haynes, with Reese Gardner, Michael Derby in our production. For these kind of cars, and indeed any kind of sports cars, this is one of the best tracks anywhere in the world.
Absolutely it is. One with plenty of history as well. VIR is one of the original purpose-built sports car courses in the United States. The crop that popped up during the 1950s, including Watkins Glen and Road America, plus Sebring as well, if you want to throw that in there too. Lime Rock Park in the 50s as well got its start. So VIR is in very good company. This place was closed for a good chunk of its history, actually, from the 1970s all the way up to the late 1990s. Since 2000, it has reopened, the track was widened, the forest surrounding it was cleared a little bit, and now it is one of the best venues to go and watch some MX-5s strut their stuff in a qualifying session. These flat-out S's are going to be one of the best parts of the track to watch.
Absolutely, and the long back straight Madison Avenue, it's always a really powerful slipstreaming opportunity, and any slipstreaming opportunity creates pack racing, strategic racing out of these MX-5 cars. We're in qualifying, which is 15 minutes. Drivers get 4 laps, and that will set the grid for our 45-minute required pit stop race coming up.
Good run down the straight. And this part of the circuit into roller coaster is going to be one of the prime passing opportunities here. There's going to be a lot of drafting down that back straight down Madison Avenue. But can you hold it 2x2 through roller coaster and hog pen? Certainly possible in the MX-5, but you need to be inch perfect for the run onto the start finish straight.
Live timing available. You'll find it in the YouTube chat. And Mitchell Peak is about to start his first flying lap. There's the timing line right at the pit exit and underneath the gantry. So that's where the clock starts, breaking into the first hairpin. He turns in a little early. There's a bit of a bump somewhere there. You often do see drivers stay relatively tight to the exit here to straighten it up. And then it's a sequence of sort of 3 subtly tightening left-handers through NASCAR, and then a big stop into left hook, another corner where you want to stay a little bit tight on the exit because you then change back into double right-hander, beginning the lower S's section of the racetrack. That's a place where some trouble can happen often. If you go side by side, get a bad bounce over the curbs, the tyre bundles and walls are very close there, closer than they are in most other places. Except for Oak Tree further up. This part of the track is so dramatic, climbing quickly through the 4 apexes of the climbing S's, and again, positioning yourself to drop over the crest of the hill and down South Bend towards Oak Tree. Why is it called Oak Tree, Reese?
Because there used to be an oak tree right there on the apex. Unfortunately, the tree fell in a storm many years ago, and had to be removed, which is unfortunate. It was one of the defining features of this racetrack, but now there is just grass there, and there's not much we can do about that. So it's bare, and it's hard to pick your run out of that corner onto that back straight, but it looks like Mitchell Peak didn't have many issues getting his way back up to roller coaster. Now you dive back down, follow the hill on its way down, and continue downhill through Hog Pen. It's an incredible sequence, and one you can carry a lot of speed through. Sticking all the way to the right down the start-finish straight. And the start-finish line itself is right there, just at pit exit. So stick tight and see what time you can get. Mitchell Peak does a 2:08.2, which is about 1.3 seconds faster than what Michael Folds has managed at the current top of the standings.
Two classes of driver in the Spec-5 World Tour, Pro and Open. Always gives us plenty to look at and talk about throughout the races and from a championship perspective. New arrival, Marshall Scara in the Open class is leading that after the first lap in qualifying.
Good to see
Mark Kruger and Paul Murgatroyd.
Indeed. Very good to see another driver joining our Open class here. Looks like Michael Folds put one run in and has decided he'll go for another. The track is reasonably cool, especially compared to how high it could get. But evidently a fresh set of tyres and being able to preserve that pace is what you want. So we'll see what can be done there to gain further time for the drivers who have elected to split their qualifying session into two separate laps. Looking good for Kirill Bonda, meanwhile. It's been a while since we've seen him this high up the field. Hopefully he can hold on to that fourth place. He's going to have to find a few more tenths in order to secure it, though, I'm sure, because we're still waiting on times from more than half of our field.
Indeed. You aware of anywhere around the track here that's particularly challenging for track limits? Because I'm seeing Lincoln Fox, Michael Chase, Donnie Moffat, Tom Athon, and Leonardo Guerra as having completed laps that didn't count.
Yeah, I think it's just a mistake in getting onto the grass, really. VIR doesn't have any questionable sequences when it comes to track limits. It's an old school circuit, just grass lining the racetrack. I don't think this place even has any real gravel traps, so to speak. It's just grass. So I think around here, where Michael Chase is going at the moment, through NASCAR Bend, out on the exit there, you can go beyond the curbs and use all of that extra bitumen there on the exit, but push a little too hard and you'll absolutely run into the grass. And you see on the exit of these corners here, those grey curbs, they are incredibly thin. It's very easy to overstep there.
Lincoln Fox did get a lap that counts, shot up to third place very, very briefly before being passed by, I think, Michael Chase and Jared Collins. Looking at Chase here, top of the S's. Bit of a slide turning into South Bend. A little bit wide there. Maybe just keep an eye on that if you're on a really challenging push lap. Sliding as well. Big time. Way too much.
Yeah.
Through the oak tree.
Yeah, that can happen there. The entry to Oak Tree is so incredibly fast, and you're trying to slow down and turn at the same time. It's very difficult to actually nail the turn-in point for that corner. It's very easy to lose the rear end as a result. Well, Donnie Moffat now to the end of a lap here. Hopefully this one counts. We're still waiting on laps from Moffat and his teammate Eugenio Polici, who are usually present up the front of the field. First time for Moffat down. No, yes, a 2:07.4, which will put him into P7 for the moment. Lincoln Fox makes an improvement to P3, and Eugenio Polici manages to put himself into P14 on his first lap.
Michael Chase is in need of a tenth of a second to go to the top of qualifying as he crosses the line. I don't think he finds that. He may have even been starting a new lap, potentially. That's what some are going to do. Oh, nope. I think that's that for Chase. Soto in fourth.
Good run from Soto, getting himself into the top 5 for the moment. Still waiting on times from Logan Fry, Jason Stalker, Cameron Kuhlbeck, Nicholas Shepard, and Ismail Ublal. Todd Martin, the next to make an improvement, up to P11. Apart from that, not seeing much movement at the front of the field. Michael Folds and Michael Chase incredibly close up the top. There's only a 1/10 of a second separating them, but will that change? Michael Folds about to come across the line here, and we'll see if this is an improvement for him. No, it looks like it might have been an outlap for Michael Folds there. Kyle Genske looking to find some extra pace. Was a front runner in the open class in previous seasons, got promoted to pro for this season, and he's managed to make an improvement to 18th.
Here's Michael Coates, part of the all-Michael podium a week ago of Michael Folds, Michael Chase, and Michael Coates. And Coates just very narrowly improves there. We've got 4 minutes left in this session. Still a couple of drivers without any times at all. Nicholas Shepherd, Ismail Ublal, Logan Fry, Cameron Coolbeck, and Jason Stalker. Bondar is up in 8th.
9th now. Polici just put in an improvement to get to 8th.
Very nice. And Marshall Scarra still leads open class from Todd Martin and Travis Hewitt. Kirill Bondar across the line.
Back to P8.
Not a lot of electric sectors for Joshua Soto this lap. And it shows as he's 5/10 away from his best. And that might be qualifying done for Soto. Michael Folds is on another even hotter lap right now, so he holds pole by a 1/10 as he comes into the roller coaster rotation at the top of the hill, immediately diving down, and the hog pen still to go.
Yes, plenty of pace to be gained here through the final sector, but you got to be careful not to understeer off there. Just nail the exit and then stick to the right-hand side of the start-finish straight. That is the geometric fastest line to the timing line here at the end of the lap. And it's down to a 2:06.901. So not huge gains to be made, but a little bit of extra insurance versus drivers who are still on laps. I think Lincoln Fox is very close to finishing his next lap as well. I'm not sure how his sectors are looking, but he could be a challenger.
Also into the roller coaster, starting right-hand side of the road, coming back across to the left, sharp right-hander at the top of the hill, and then just placing yourself to get a little bit airborne and then grip up. A lot of compression through the suspension just past the apex. A hog pen gives you more grip than you'd expect. You can cross a little bit of that green and yellow hatching this way, but not when you're taking it to pit entry. Be careful of that later on. So Lincoln Fox does improve teeny tiny bit lap time wise, but not position wise.
Yeah, not quite enough to get further into the top 3 there. Kirill Bondar, meanwhile, going for pit lane, going to practice a pit entry. Important because the drivers will owe us a pit stop tonight. Todd Martin, maybe a little bit deep at roller coaster. See if he can break into the top 10 here. He's our current open class pole sitter. And he only has a few hundredths to Marshall Scarra there, but it looks like no other open class cars other than Jason Stalker are on track at the moment. So we'll see what Todd Martin can do to improve here. 2:08.8, that is a second off what he could manage, and Jason Stalker's first lap, and likely the only lap he'll manage, a 2:08.154 to put himself in P17. Genske and Coates are the only other drivers out there on track at the moment, and it would appear that Genske is going to come to the line first, and then it will be Michael Coates. So see if there's any further changes in the midfield and in the middle of the top 10.
Yeah, so Genske will be one of the last that we see. Start finish line there. A couple tenths away, just 2 tenths away from a personal best and no improvement. Michael Coates going to practice the pit entry. Again, you need a clean pit entry. You can't go cutting across the paint there.
Jason Stalker halfway around another lap, but this being a solo qualifying session, there's going to be a hard cut to the end of it. So 5 seconds to go. He's not going to make it to the line by any stretch. Goodbye. And we'll see ourselves move over to the race session.
We absolutely will. 45 minutes of racing ahead of us. And this is the grid. Michael Folds 2:06.9 is just a tenth and a half ahead of Michael Chase to take that pole position. Lincoln Fox only fractionally behind that, so close in and amongst our top 3 and 4 here with Fox and then Soto. Jared Collins not too far behind either in 5th, with Michael Coates in 6th, Donnie Moffat 7th, Kirill Bondar 8th, Logan Fry in 9th, and Eugenio Polici in 10th. Mitchell Peak will be 11th before we get a bit of a flurry of the open class drivers here in blue. Todd Martin, best driver from that class ahead of Marshall Scara. Mike Oswalt in 14th, Travis Hewitt in 15th, Zach Burke 16th, Jason Stalker 17th, Carl Genske in 18th, Paul Murgatroyd 19th, and Mark Kruger 20th. And then we've got just the last couple of drivers that set qualifying times. Odyssey Adams, Jerry DiPiero, Tom Athon, and Leonardo Guerra. No qualifying time from Nicholas Shepard, Ismail Ublal, or Cameron Coolbeck.
Indeed. Excellent qualifying session, and well played from Michael Folds and Michael Chase. We'll have to see if Michael Coates can make his way through onto 3rd and make it an all-Michael podium again. But, well, now we've got an entire formation lap around VIR, a slow-motion tour around this great circuit, which will give us plenty of time to have a look at the championship points situation.
Yeah, fun. The formation lap starts on the pit lane, and they all need to work their way double file through the pit exit. Bit of a choke point there. So reaching the point that we have approaching round 5 in the championship, there is 3 drop rounds across the 12-round championship. So we're beginning to count 1, and it gives Michael Folds 316 points ahead of Lincoln Fox, Eugenio Polici, Michael Coates, Michael Chase, Odyssey Adams, Donnie Moffat, Rui Coimbra, Carl Genske, and Kirill Bondar. I think it was Michael Chase who benefited greatly from beginning to count 1 drop round, and he jumped up a couple of spots, because when he's been on it, and he's been on the podium. He might have had one race he either had to miss or was maybe a DNF.
Indeed, that's the situation in the pro points. In the open points, Jerry DiPiero has 16 points in hand after 1 drop round, ahead of Jason Stalker. Lee Martin 3 points behind. Paul Murgatroyd another 7 behind that. It looks like the standings are quite close in this open class as they stand. Hewitt, Martin, Kruger, Wishon, Rusokis, and Flowers rounding out the top 10 in those open points. And we also have the Mr. Clean Championship to think about. Lee Martin, incredibly, still on 0 incidents for the entire season, at least in race sessions. So it's going to take a miracle for anyone to try and catch up to him in this championship, especially in a championship that requires that you don't get any incidents.
Championship that requires also that you show up.
Yes.
Because you get 20 every race that you miss. So for Peter Rusokis, that could potentially be a challenge. Todd Martin's outside of this because he's only done 2 races of the 4 so far this season, but we've seen that he's back And he's at the top of the open class in qualifying. The field's going around Oak Tree at whatever speed the pace car does here at VIR these days.
Looks like it's 85 k's an hour, which is about 50 miles an hour.
It's like 53 miles an hour or something.
Not slow, but not particularly fast either.
No, it's faster than a Ford F350 with a camper in the back of the bed.
Yeah, certainly. Probably a little bit safer than that as well at those speeds. But we're getting ready for the start pretty soon here. Michael Folds, the championship leader, he's been on an absolute tear this season. We'll wait and see if he can hold off Chase and Fox, who are always present at the front of this field.
45 minutes begins when the flag waves. The sun is out at VIR on a cool morning, and it's always cool when we go Spec-5 World Tour racing. 24 cars on the grid in 2 lines. The green flag waves. Michael Folds on the inside, on the front row. Michael Chase around the outside. Lincoln Fox almost immediately looking to push Folds along towards the hairpin turn number 1. Most of the field staying in 2 lanes before we get a little bit of a checkup deeper in the field. Still working up towards tyre temperature that takes a lap or 2 on these cars. That is a perfect start from Michael Folds. Lincoln Fox on the inside line coming through into 2nd place as well. Jason Stalker and Paul Murgatroyd picking up a couple of spots through the checkup in turn 1.
Otherwise, a clean start. I don't see any big incidents in the field. Everyone's giving each other a good amount of space, and it would appear no drivers going off the track yet, but here in the lower S's, there is potential for that. We see one car almost going off there. As now to the climbing S's. Interesting little 3-car pack forming there between Bonda, Fry, and Polici as they find their way through. Polici having to yield there to Logan Fry, who it appears has Christmas lights on his car, and he'll be flashing them as he goes off the circuit there and is going to still defend from Eugenio Polici on the way into Oak Tree. Narrow entry though. We'll see if the entire straight goes well for him from there with the lack of momentum.
Christmas trees are up in my local shopping centre already. Don't know how I feel about that at all. I'll cut some slack to our Spec-5 World Tour races, and this is that slipstream down Madison Avenue for the first time, picking up so much speed, looking to try to make a manoeuvre. Does not quite work out first time through the roller coaster.
That's a lot of curb usage there, but evidently it's working out nicely for Logan Fry as the first lap is complete. Looks like it's going to be a draft train here. I have never seen such a long chain of MX-5s before. See how much that changes.
And this is the opportunity.
Whoa.
In a bit hot, the crossover is on. Eugenio Polici gave it a red hot go. Logan Fry is not giving anything away for free. Creates a little bit of a gap between this back half of the field and our leaders that was so close together going in towards turn 1. I think Soto was actually having a little bit of a look there. We got a little bit of contact with Kyle Genski just here.
Yeah, this is quite the fight down here for the sort of 17th, 18th place area. Genski making his way up into 16th spot and looking at 15th, but Zach Burke here is proving a tough customer. Side by side through these S's is certainly not ideal, and that's why Burke had to turn in. The track was narrow, but Genski was there on the inside, and that's going to be Zach Burke falling outside the top 20 as a result, and now last of all of our pro runners.
Side by side was brave going up the S's there, and Burke probably thought he was getting close to clear for South Bend, but wasn't quite. Tiny bit of contact between the two of them. Burke mainly gets away with it. Side by side for the race lead. 2 rows deep. Michael Folds needs to fend off Lincoln Fox, does so. Joshua Soto goes past Michael Chase, so Chase has gone back to 4th from 2nd on the grid now, with Jared Collins just behind him, and then Michael Coates, Donnie Moffat, and Kirill Bondar is our top 8 here.
One interesting note here is obviously Michael Folds maintaining the lead from the start, but everyone from 5th to 12th is still in the same spot they started in. Fastest lap of the race so far looks like it's going to fall to Kirill Bonda, who's right at the back of the train for the lead here. Side by side again between Soto and Fox for 2nd, and Soto's really making his presence known here in the top 3, but Lincoln Fox getting a whisper of draft from Michael Folds is going to maintain the position there into NASCAR Bend. And the run through left hook is incredibly important. Sometimes you can sacrifice speed at the left-hander to get on the power a little bit earlier and carry the speed through this section. Here comes the move, poking the nose out for Lincoln Fox. This is going to be side by side for the lead in the climbing S's.
Now, these cars can go flat out on the racing line up the S's, but side by side is way more difficult. Lincoln Fox takes the race lead from Michael Folds, Joshua Soto, and then Michael Chase. So Fox leading the way with a brave move, a good run through the lower S's, wide on the way into Oak Tree, comes back to that really late apex because you need to open up the power, and even then the slipstream from the leader will allow everyone else to suck right up to your rear bumper as you sort of go downhill out of Oak Tree, pick back up over this hill, water tower on the left. And then it's downhill once again where Michael Folds is going to pull out of the slipstream. And at the very last minute, uphill braking to the crest of the hill at the roller coaster. Joshua Soto is going to try to follow Folds through and put Lincoln Fox from the race lead back to 3rd.
Yeah, it looks like he succeeds eventually, but lost a bit of momentum through the first part of roller coaster, and that's given Michael Folds half a second in hand here. But that's still not enough to get out of slipstream range. As long as these drivers don't fight with each other too hard, they'll be able to catch right back up.
Well, Logan Fry, Eugenio Pollicci, and Mitchell Peake have been able to catch this lead group, so it's 11 pro drivers up front in this top 11 going into the turn 1 hairpin and compressing as they shed a lot of speed. It means that Todd Martin, Jason Stalker, and Paul Murgatroyd are an open class top 3 right here, but that looks like Kyle Genski's trying to get between Murgatroyd and Stalker, but he's going to have to do it going around the outside of NASCAR and left hook, which I don't think is going to work, but Kyle Genski thinks it can.
Oh, he still sticks it up the inside for the right hook. And it looks like Paul Murgatroyd will have to yield from there. That's how you make 2 wide through that section work. Just maintain the outside line. It becomes the inside for the next corner. And, well, it's one line fits all through that section. Murgatroyd's going to do a little bit of bump drafting, it appears, as Mike Oswald is with them, as well as Marshall Scarrett. And Marshall, the second most positions lost in the race. The most positions lost belongs to Zach Burke, down 5. Most positions gained, Stalker, Genski, and Murgatroyd, all up 4 spots here on the 4th lap of this race. We're expecting another 18 or so laps before the end.
We're expecting in this 45-minute race that the middle 15 minutes are the pit window. So from 30 minutes to go to about 15 minutes to go. But of course, it's always variable based on the weather, based on the racetrack that we're going to. So no one really knows until we go racing. Always a little element of jeopardy to it. Joshua Soto was closed up so close to the back of Michael Folds now at the end of this lap. You can follow so closely through the corners in these cars, and you can see that through Hogpen, Soto was a third of a car length. And these are small cars that don't have a lot of length behind Michael Folds, and he just sits there, his nose an inch off Michael Folds' rear bumper past the start-finish line this time.
Smart driving from Soto. You don't want to be diving side by side for the lead. There is some side by side going on back here. Kirill Bonda also almost yielding to Logan Fry there, but the number 49 yields once again. It's all well and good trying to go for moves side by side when you're in a pack and moving yourself up through it, but if you're the one at the very front, you don't want to be running side by side too much, because that's time that you're going to be losing unnecessarily. So Joshua Soto doing the right thing, I think, staying behind Michael Folds for the moment. It's allowing the top three to break away a little there through the S's.
Leonardo Guerra has had a problem. Not sure exactly what.
Oh.
Well, it'd be
looks like a big one.
About a third of the car missing, I think.
That'll do it.
I want to say lower S's.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. We'll see what happened to him. Looks like he was all on his own at the time. Through left hook and catching a bit too much curb there. And oh dear. Oh, he avoids the tyre bundle there. Tries to recover it, but yeah, I think the car was already gone at that point. Not much he could do, unfortunately.
That is big. Ouchie. Lincoln Fox going for the lead of the race around the outside of Michael Folds, leaping Folds and Soto from third and into the lead of the race. We've seen Joshua Soto willing to sit that inch off Michael Folds' rear bumper. He might have just sat there down Madison Avenue as Lincoln Fox piloted the Fox Express, bypassing Folds and Soto on his way to the race lead. So he leads the race at the end of this lap, but barely, as Michael Folds looks to the outside of turn one. That tight inside line has looked very good because you can get good drive off the corner from the tight line, as well as it being the short way around. I think because of that, Fox might just hold on. No, maybe.
Maximizes the exit of NASCAR bend, but hits the grass. And oh dear, what's happened here? Something's gone wrong there for Lincoln Fox. He's fallen all the way back to 7th to 8th. That's bizarre. Did he catch the grass and get on the brakes? I'm not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, going to drop all the way to the back of this train. Was it trying to brake and turn on the grass and then offline? We'll take a look. So around the outside of NASCAR, going into left hook, coming off the pavement.
He just lifts off.
Yeah.
Oh.
But did have the outside tyres in the grass.
But that doesn't make sense though. Like I feel like he wouldn't have slowed down that much, and the momentum continued to be lost there. Did his brakes stick on for some reason? Was that a hardware problem for Lincoln Fox? That's bizarre.
And then Polici was just, or was it Donnie Moffat a little bit wide through Oak Tree this time? We've got some side-by-side from our leading group. And the gap between the leading 11 and the leader of open class has come down a little bit with some of the battling that we've seen at the very front. Oh, that's two together. Bonda and Fry into the wall at the roller coaster. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle.
Yeah, this is a side-by-side moment that went wrong, and oh dear, it looks like that was Donnie Moffat actually that they made contact with there. Moffat continued on, but it induced a slide for the both of them that has unfortunately put them, at least Logan Fry's case, into the pits.
And it creates a vacuum between that top five and Lincoln Fox now in 6th ahead of Donnie Moffat. Mitchell Peake, you've just noticed Carl Genske able to race his way back up to the leading group. And got Todd Martin, Paul Murgatroyd, Marshall Scarra just behind him as well. Eugenio Pellicci losing out there to Carl Genske, who's up 9 positions in this race now, if I'm seeing that correct.
Yes, good run up through the field for Kyle Genske, showing why he was promoted to the pro class. He has a habit of elevating his way up through these fields just by virtue of sheer consistency and staying out of trouble. Not everyone's been able to do that thus far in this race.
Could be just approaching the pit window or a lap away from it now. Looking at the lead of open class, Todd Martin versus Murgatroyd versus Scarra. Oh, Murgatroyd pulls out of the slipstream, but is anyone going to go with him to help him on this? This is side by side for the lead of open class. I think Martin's almost just yielding this one, if I'm not seeing it correctly.
Oh, yeah. Just on the way into the braking zone, trying to lose as little time as possible in doing so. That induces some side-by-side between Mike Oswald and Marshall Scarra there. What a curb for Oswald getting into the grass. But I don't think that's quite enough for an off-track. Here's a response here from Folds and Soto. They are the first of our lead pack to come into the pits right at the start of the window.
Well, I might very well expect to see some left-hand side tyres happen then if you're pitting this early. So run all the way down the pit lane. And fueling begins, because you absolutely need to take a little bit more. And you might take some new left-hand side tyres if you're Michael Folds, the pole sitter.
Looks like Joshua Soto ended up getting the right side of the car jacked up. So
yeah, longer stop for him, still held.
Yeah.
Almost 30 seconds. You want a sub 20-second pit stop if you can get it. And for Soto, what is happening?
Well, the car did go up on the right side, jacks for a moment, but then immediately back down. I think Soto erroneously left the right side tyres checked, and now I think him cancelling that in the middle of the tyre change might have induced some issue in the pit lane.
I never saw a black flag, but did he maybe get an unsafe pit entry? Goodness me, the time of that pit stop looks like it might have actually been a penalty.
Yeah, okay. I'm going back right now to check his entry into the pits, and coming off of oh yeah, he ran across the yellow and green painted stripe area on the way into the pits.
The number of times you see someone make a late call to follow the driver in front, and that's what happened. He might have seen Folds pitting, made a call to follow him at very short notice. Too late. He made an unsafe pit entry for Joshua Soto, potentially. Jared Collins has gone to the lead of the race in, I think, a new livery. Making me just a tiny bit hungry.
Yes.
Michael Chase and Michael Coates behind him, and he also heads to pit entry. Oh, look at that late change of decision from Chase. He's like, I'm going to follow Collins. Wait, no, I'll get an unsafe pit entry if I do. So it's Chase and Coates staying out, while a whole heap of drivers coming to react to Michael Folds.
So that's Jared Collins, Lincoln Fox, Donnie Moffat, Mitchell Peake, Kyle Genske, Odyssey Adams Jr., and Jason Stalker also into the lane as well. And unsurprisingly, basically all of them are going for left side tyres. Don't see anyone. Oh, there's one person going for right sides, Mitchell Peake. I wonder if that was intentional. That has cost him a little bit. He spins up the wheels on the way out of pit lane. First time I've seen an MX-5 do a burnout coming from a standstill in a while. That has put Mitchell...
paved surface.
Yes, of course. That's cost Mitchell Peake about 7 seconds, I reckon, of lap time, but he will have more consistent car behavior, I'd imagine.
So this is all a group of drivers that have pitted there, and this is a group of drivers that haven't. Michael Chase and Michael Coates. Paul Murgatroyd now leading the open class. We saw him make that move, but then a few more pro cars have come in between him and second in class, Todd Martin. So he's got Eugenio Pellicci and Mike Oswalt in between himself and the rest of open class there with Todd Martin, Marshall Scarra, and Travis Hewitt, who's very well positioned right now, only 2 seconds away from the lead of class, but fourth in that open division.
This could be a good call from these drivers to stay out a little longer. They've got the benefit of the slipstream while the other drivers are getting up to speed on cooler tyres. So for Murgatroyd, Pellicci, Oswald, etc., they might stand a chance of moving up a position or two each. See if there's any response here. So Michael Chase is the next to come to pits, but Coates staying out. I don't know if that's a wise decision there.
We're about to see the first flying lap on the new left-hand side tyres for Michael Folds. And so that could be very, very instructive, knowing that Michael Coates just did a 2:08.2. If this is a mid or low 2:07 from Michael Folds, then he is making a very powerful undercut. So we wait and see on this lap time, really, to know whether Coates is going to lose out.
And Chase just waiting for the last little bit of fuel to get in the car there in the Itasca .371. He moves away from the pits just as they come through, and he'll fall behind Donnie Moffat there. He is all alone. Just a couple of seconds difference, plus that mega undercut from Michael Folds. That makes things a lot more difficult for Chase, as well as a slide through turn one, pushing a bit too hard on the way into the first turn.
Well, he's missed the boat and he's seeing that ship sail away from him. He'll be closer to Peak, Genski, and Murgatroyd just behind him, as Murgatroyd also made a pit stop. The lap time for Michael Folds was a 2:07.1, so every lap here, he's going basically a second faster than those that stayed out. And so it adds up very quickly, 2-3 seconds of undercut. And that's how this group sort of left Michael Chase behind, and how Michael Coates is going to need a very quick pit stop if he's going to be part of what's looking like it could be a leading group of four.
Right, so we saw how powerful the undercut was already. We'll have to wait and see if this hurts Michael Coates at all. Remember, the effective race lead is down in P10. All of these guys haven't pitted either, but I would expect them to make their way in very shortly, or not. Michael Coates at least stays out, but we have a couple of takers from that group, Mike Oswalt and Travis Hewitt, both in for the moment, and I'm not seeing any black flags from either of them, so that's a safe entry to pit lane. Mark Kruger also jumping in. Zach Burke will stay out, and waiting to see what Jerry DiPiero does. He's going to stay out as well.
So the central bank rates are on hold for Jerry DiPiero. Left side tyres going on for a couple of these cars. It looks like Mark Kruger might have a slightly new livery that's still got the Kruger-tuned sticker on the nose. Oswald's ludicrously quick pit stop. 13 seconds. Not sure about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say suspiciously
not
quick.
Sure about this either.
Oh man,
turn one on asymmetrical cold tires is proving very difficult. There's a man who knows going past. Michael Chase. Mike Oswalt learns as well. Our chances of an all-Mike lockout on the podium just took a little bit of a setback.
Yes, they did. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Second time we've seen a car lose it through turn one out of the pits. Well, it looks like there's a few drivers who have needlessly lost time as a result of that, which is a shame. But there is still chances for fighting. It's going to be really difficult for Chase and Peak, etc., to make up the gap to Collins, Moffat, Fox, and Folds. There's about 9 seconds between them at the moment, and I mean, it is possible, but not likely, as here's the battle again here for Todd Martin and Marshall Scara. That gives Eugenio Pellicci a little bit of breathing room. Michael Coates finally comes into the pits here. We'll see if this massive overcut is worth it for him. And if he entered pit lane at the right speed, he did. But Pellicci, Martin, and Scara are going to stay out even longer. They're trying to bring it all the way to the end of the pit window here.
It's an interesting strategy, Reese. Let's see if it pays off, because Michael Folds is still flying. Lincoln Fox almost, at a lap that would have been good enough for pole there at 206.9. Well, Donnie Moffat had a 206.3. So the drivers that have taken new left-hand side tyres and are in the slipstream of Michael Folds are flying along at incredible speed. They've already just gone past, and Michael Coates isn't too far away from them. But there is a difference between being on the wagon and not.
Almost falling off the wagon was Michael Coates there. You saw that little wiggle at the apex of turn 1. That's those new left side tyres struggling to get with the program, so to speak. But yeah, the decision from this group to pit when they did is proving very prescient. Folds, Fox, and Moffat are your provisional podium now. I would imagine that Pellicci, Martin, Scara, and Burke will fall behind them when they do eventually come into the pits. We'll see if they do it at the end of this lap, or if they want to keep this battle going as long as they dare.
So the thing for Martin and Scara here is where they are versus Paul Murgatroyd, who already stopped. So last lap for Martin, 208.1. Last lap for Murgatroyd, 207.1, because he's part of a quick pack of pro drivers. Todd Martin's just in behind Eugenio Pellicci here. No slouch, but not quite lapping as quickly.
Very misleading camera angle there. I thought that Pellicci was going for the pits, but it's just the way the elevation of the track changes on the way out of the final corner. So none of them take to the pits on this lap. Todd Martin's going to go for it on Pellicci. Eugenio sees him coming and leaves him space. And that's going to be Martin through for a moment until Pellicci gets the line back and moves back into the current race lead. I'm keeping an eye on Michael Coates as well to see if he can catch up to that pack behind effective race leader Michael Folds. It doesn't look like he's been that successful with it so far. He's still trailing them by a few seconds. He needs a miracle in order to get a whisper of slipstream. Jerry DiPiero, I've noticed, has had an issue. That's our Open Class Championship leader. He's off into the grass and looks to be on the way out of Hog Pen that's happened for him. Contact potentially with the 77 of Tom Athon? No contact. He just made a mistake, lost the rear. Just keeps it out of the tyre bundles.
Saves himself doing too much damage, yes. So still it was the outlap. Maybe the tyres were still a little bit cold. He was looking at Tom Athon behind, and he's had that snap and wiggle through Hog Pen. So do these three come into the pits this time? We're approaching the end of the pit window. Yeah. They're going to have to soon, whether it's the end of this lap or the end of next. You've still got 17 minutes to go. Like we said, probably about 15 minutes to go is the very, very end. Here we go. So Marshall Scara is going to stay out. Pellicci and Martin come in. See if Zach Burke follows them in as well in the number 13.
Looks like he will. So that just leaves Marshall as the only car left to take a stop. He is going to run that tank dry. Pick on the leaders.
Yeah, they are going to fly by at speed, and Michael Folds still net leading the race and just needs Marshall Scarra to pit to be the outright leader of the race.
Good timing on the pit stop for Pollici. He's come out just behind that pack headed up by Michael Chase for 7th, effective 6th at the moment. Just needs to keep it together through turn 1, and he's nice and smooth through there. That's a similar-ish gap to what Michael Coates had to the lead pack, but this pack looks a little bit more racy than the front at the moment, so that might be the chance Pollici needs to latch onto the back of this train.
So this group's got Paul Murgatroyd in it, and we're one pit stop away from him being back in the open class lead. This, the only car that hasn't stopped yet. Leading the way down the hill from the roller coaster. Going to need to be just a little bit tighter on the line through the hog pen to make it to the pit entry. You can see just half a car width further to the right than usual and heading to pit road.
Nailed pit entry.
So what's contending for the podium in class? What does this strategy mean for that? Quick little bit of repair on the front bumper, but no tyre service happening. It's kind of got to be your plan if you pit this late. Michael Folds, one of the earliest pit stop takers. The strategy's worked out pretty well because he found himself some clean air, and now it all cycles back to put him in the lead of the race. He's got a pack of some very experienced racers alongside him, riding his coattails. Michael Folds, Lincoln Fox, Donnie Moffat, Jared Collins. There goes that group that's got Paul Murgatroyd in it.
Oh, we've had a big incident that we've missed. Contact between Jason Stalker and Tom Athon. And it looks like Jerry DePiero was caught up in it as well. Not entirely sure what the circumstances were of this one. But yeah, you see that DePiero was trying to take advantage of the recovering Tom Athon and Jason Stalker. They made contact in the back part of the climbing S's, up the inside for Stalker, and, well, you don't often see moves being made at that part of the racetrack, and that's exactly the reason why.
Not like that, and then the wheels interlock and he climbs up over Tom Athon. Athon's like, I'm trying to get off the racing line, but where is the racing line there? And Jerry DePiero ends up in the grass, and then he goes backwards at Oak Tree.
So yeah, Jason Stalker also involved in that too. It just looks like DePiero was trying to recover from having to make his way around Tom Athon, and then he was a bit too late on the brakes into the corner coming up to Oak Tree. I don't think Jason Stalker expected him to be up the inside there.
Everyone's made their pit stop. My question is, does Mike Oswalt make it to the end? Everyone else I'd feel much more confident about. This is then the leading group of Folds, Fox, Moffat, and Jared Collins. Have they just dropped? Yeah, Michael Coates was never really quite part of this group. He wanted to be, but he pitted a bit late. He had got undercut. He's in the no man's land between the leaders and the next group of Chase, Peak, Genski, Murgatroyd, and Oswalt.
So as the pit cycle is now complete, Marshall Scarra on his debut in the open class, has managed to come out in second, it seems. Just catching up to this fight now. Late pit stop here for Marshall has worked out pretty well, actually. He's managed to latch onto the back of this pack. Problem is, no tyres at the stop, so he's going to suffer a bit on pace through the corners. As long as he can keep in touch with them, if they race each other a bit harder, then he'll be able to latch on. Eugenio Pellicci has a good chance there as well. He's the car up the back there in the white and black machine. He'll be getting some slipstream off of Marshall. They might be able to work together to advance further into the top 10.
Whoa, that's a bit off-roading for Pellicci. Wide at South Bend, easily done. Car always loses a bit of grip as you go over the crest. It's the opposite effect. Hey, that's not the pit lane. Lap down car using the south paddock to get out of the way. Jason Stalker actually gets a slowdown penalty from that, though, so you can't do that.
Okay, good to know.
It is good to know. It is good to know. Quick trip to the south paddock will not gain you any time or positions.
So Kyle Genske moving through on Michael Chase. Got his way past Mitchell Peak as well. 2 positions gained on that lap for Kyle. Working out all right.
Minutes to go. Will be 5 more laps of VIR to settle all of these battles. Michael Folds leading the way from Fox, Moffat and Collins. Michael Coates actually caught them a little bit on the last lap. Just a tiny bit, but he's going to have to work so hard to get back to this group. Kyle Genske is the biggest mover of the race from 18th on the grid. He leads the next pack in 6th here, but what a pack it is. Only one car between Paul Murgatroyd, the open class leader, and Marshall Scara, but Pellicci's breathing down the back of the neck of Scara, and Oswald's probably needing to save as much fuel as he can in behind Murgatroyd.
Yeah, indeed. Oswald with the shortest pit stop of anyone at just 13 seconds.
Exit stage left. Oh, Eugenio Pellicci might have made some contact with him. Both of them, I think, have found the wall. Second from the open class, off the road, onto the tow hook. Oswald goes around the outside of Murgatroyd at the oak tree, but I think as Pellicci trying to come through, he gets some momentum. He climbs up over the curb here.
Netcode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a shame. I mean, Pellicci...
But also, he didn't have any overlap going into the climbing S's, and that makes it risky.
Yeah, it was a little bit over-aggressive from Pellicci, I'll give you that. But, of course, he is racing from Italy. Walks his dog in the public park that the Autodromo Nazionale Monza is located in. But, yeah, that does induce a little bit more latency, and you do need to give a bit of extra space to drivers as a result when racing closely against them. You and I know that very well, David, hailing from Australia. But, yeah, that's just a real shame between those two. I was very interested to see what Scara and Pellicci would be able to do in the second half of this race, but we'll never know the answer. Michael Chase and Kyle Genske, though, still on for 6th place, and Mitchell Peak and Mike Oswald just hanging on to the back of these two.
Todd Martin becomes 2nd in open class and Mark Kruger 3rd. They are not with the pack that contains Murgatroyd, who's begun dropping back very quickly.
Interesting. Not sure what's happened to Murgatroyd there. He had one of the longer runs through pit lane.
Soto? What's happened to Joshua Soto?
Oh, that's not ideal. Man who started in P4. We'll see what happened to Murgatroyd first. This was down into turn 1. Did he just lose the car midway through it? Oh, he went too deep and off into the grass. Easy to do. It's hard to pick your braking point into the first turn there, unless you get something of a rhythm going. And here's Soto. I wonder if the same thing happened to him. Into the braking zone. And, yeah, looks like a bit late on the brakes there. He just pulls over and escapes. Okay, then.
Yeah, okay. He's just, he's out of this one then. So top 4, thinking 3 laps to go. With lap times just over 2 minutes and near exactly 6 minutes on the clock. Michael Folds covers the inside, half rolls out of the throttle. No one else wants to go for it. And so in this order, they continue. Carl Genski's losing big spots in the next group. He got a slowdown, so maybe cutting part of the roller coaster. It puts Michael Chase up into 6th, Mitchell Peak up into 7th. Then Genski's right back with his foot down again. But did lose a bit of time in a spot or two.
Looked like Mitchell Peak had a bit of a wobble in the middle of turn 1 there. And now Genski's going to take advantage. I don't think Peak was expecting him to go for it there. Oh, wow. I love the dives that you see sometimes at these corners. VIR is a track where you can really push those limits, but you're running a knife edge a lot of the way around it. Unfortunately, that has cost him a lot of time to Michael Chase, and Chase himself would probably like some assistance to get a little closer to Coates, but I think at this point in the race, the gap is just too big to overcome. There's some 9 seconds up to Michael Coates, who still hasn't been able to catch up to that top 4 pack. And the fight is going to continue on for 7th, for 1st as well. Still got this race to decide. Folds has maintained the lead for a long time now, but Lincoln Fox could be trying to size something up here.
Jared Collins has got a monster of a run down the back straight as well here, but just sits in behind the battle for the race lead, where Michael Folds swoops around the left to the apex of the right-hander at the top of the roller coaster and keeps the lead of the race. But Lincoln Fox beginning to think about it. Jared Collins wondering what his place in this battle might be as Donnie Moffat sits in 4th. They've got only about 2.5 seconds to Michael Coates, who's kept his foot down and been very clean. So if they roll out of the throttle, race side by side a little bit, don't count out a final lap appearance from Michael Coates back there in the green and yellow Braundo livery. It's got what he craves.
Certainly. Just don't put it on any crops. So here comes the run from Lincoln Fox. Nice inside run out of the first turn, but Michael Folds positions his car perfectly for the defense. Will there be any cut under at NASCAR Bend? Not yet. He has a little bit of a look, but it's not worth it going for the move just yet. We're still going to have a lap to go once they cross the line. So any position you gain now will likely be lost again in the slipstream on the final lap. So if I'm Lincoln Fox, I am just sitting behind and waiting for the opportunity. But Collins and Moffat may change that. And, hell, what do I know? Lincoln Fox side by side through the S's with Michael Folds. And he might complete the move here potentially, or will Folds hold on to it? Contact between our leaders on the way up to Oak Tree.
Well, you can watch 1,000 races, you can give your best opinion, but if it always plays out how you predict it's going to play out, it would get boring.
Yep.
So Lincoln Fox is injecting just a little bit of action into this. Jared Collins doesn't know what to do when Folds and Fox go side by side like this. He's like, well, what do I do now? And there's just one Fox width to the right-hand side of the road as they lean on each other again. Lincoln Fox wants to get ahead of Michael Folds this time into the roller coaster, and I think he's placed well to do it, but it'll be tight.
Michael Folds holds on to the inside line and consolidates the lead again. 2 minutes to go on the timer. This will be the white flag they get this time by. And it looks like Folds was able to get a great line going in the last few corners. Has a little bit of breathing room across the line. But there's the white flag. Final lap begins now. And Folds is immediately defensive to the inside of turn 1. Jared Collins trying to look for the inside. Moffat now on the attack too.
It's Michael Coates' music. He's within 1 second of the race lead because Folds and Fox are going side by side and door to door at every opportunity. Folds tries to close off Lincoln Fox, heading towards left hook, and does so. Donnie Moffat, I might need to save a bit of fuel. He had one of the shorter stops. That's why he sat in 4th this whole time. Jared Collins would love to make another spot, I'm sure, but just hasn't seen a clean opportunity just yet. This is your top 5. Michael Chase, Carl Genske, and Mitchell Peak together in the next group. Paul Murgatroyd still leads open class, but lost a lot of time last lap. Todd Martin could get him, and we're side by side again up the S's for the outright lead. It's all to play for with a minute left on the clock, having seen the white flag.
Now it's Michael Folds' turn to be on the inside here, but Lincoln Fox, maintaining the pace around the outside, just keeps it on the track. And now Michael Coates is officially a part of this fight. All it takes is a little bit of side-by-side, and you are there. Look at the exit there. A little bit of a wiggle for Michael Folds. Is that going to ruin his run down the straight? He's not going to allow Donnie Moffat by easily. He's trying his best, but it looks like he's been boxed in. A little bit of side draft now from Lincoln Fox. This is going to be a very interesting finish. Our top 5 now all together, and we don't know who's going to cross the line in first. Just roller coaster and hog pen to go.
Donnie Moffat trying to push Lincoln Fox along, but it's not quite enough at the top of the hill.
Oh, Moffat!
Michael Folds is still alongside. Moffat has a problem, and Michael Coates loses out some time as well. They might hold on to 4th and 5th there, but it's side by side into the hog pen. Lincoln Fox just gets ahead. It is a run from the hog pen to the checkered flag, but surely 2 car lengths back. Michael Folds is too far back as the checkered flag waits. They danced, they sparred, and Lincoln Fox takes the win from Folds and Collins on the podium.
Wow, great move from Lincoln Fox there. And that will be a well-earned victory for him. Moffat finishes in 4th, Coates in 5th, and tell you what, they almost got caught up by Kyle Genske, Michael Chase, and Mitchell Peak. 6th, 7th, and 8th there. Paul Murgatroyd, meanwhile, in 9th, is going to take the open class victory.
Yeah, lost 4 seconds on the lap previous to that one. Todd Martin finishes only 2 seconds behind him. So a couple of problems late in the race for Murgatroyd, who was very strong early, but just manages to hold on for that open class win ahead of Todd Martin and Travis Hewitt joining them on the open class podium.
Wow. Excellent stuff. So we caught a bit of this live as our leaders came in here. Looks like Michael Coates was trying his best to take advantage of the checkup there, but ended up making contact with Donnie Moffat, and I believe Coates immediately redressed that position. So no harm, no foul between them. They obviously didn't have a chance to fight on the podium, but still able to stay ahead of everyone behind.
Well, thinking about the championship, this has been a very, very interesting round. At round 5, Lincoln Fox takes a big bag of points and is parking up in the south paddock right now. We've learned that's a slowdown, but not after the checkered flag. And Michael Folds only with that 2nd place, but leading many laps and perhaps just missing out on the fastest lap of the race though. Jared Collins in 3rd, picked the right way at the roller coaster. And then Donnie Moffat, Michael Coates, Carl Genske, Michael Chase, Mitchell Peak, top 8 there. Then Murgatroyd, open class winner from Todd Martin. Zach Burke coming back to 11th. Travis Hewitt in 12th there with Mark Kruger 13th. Mike Oswalt did need to make a 2nd pit stop, and he took an extra 10 seconds of fuel. So he was quite short. And then Odyssey Adams in 15th, Tom Athon in 16th. Kirill Bondar was the last car to finish on the lead lap in 17th. You saw Stalker was just a lap down. Joshua Soto parked up and left with sort of 4 or 5 laps to go. But that was after Marshall Scara and Eugenio Pellicci had retired. Only 13 laps completed for Jerry DiPiero, 5 laps completed for Logan Fry, 4 laps completed for Leonardo Guerra, Nicholas Shepard, Ismail Ublal, and Cameron Coolbeck entered the server but didn't start the race or qualifying.
Yeah, they were only present in practice, but looking at their lap times, it looks like they would have been pretty competitive. But that's a bit of a shame. Regardless, it looks like that's the end of proceedings for the racing portion of the evening. We're still waiting to see if any of the drivers are going to come in for an interview with us here. I would bet that there's a lot of good stories to come out of this race today.
Lincoln Fox never talks to us, sad. But Jared Collins finished on the podium and looks grabbable. Hello, Jared.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, we're good. How are you? On the podium, not bad.
Fantastic, man. That was I'm super hyped after that. That was a wild last couple laps. I feel like everyone was minding their P's and Q's until, I don't know, 3 or 4 to go, and then yeah, then all hell broke loose. It was a lot of fun the last couple laps there.
So what did you do vis-a-vis the pit strategy? Michael Folds looked like he pitted relatively early, and with the pace that he's got, a lot of people kind of looked like they then elected to follow him, maybe against the strategy that they previously had in their head.
Yeah, I underfueled pretty substantially. I knew when they pitted early, I knew he had a lot of pace, and the draft is huge here, right? So I underfueled by at least half a lap, and then hoped I could just kind of hold in the draft and lift early, and I was able to do that, right? I had enough pace where I could, suck up to them on the straightaways and then lift at 400 feet before the normal braking mark and just ended up saving almost a full lap of fuel. And then we actually were 1 short too, so that helped, where I didn't really need to fuel save as much as I thought.
Talk to me about this livery you've got on your Mazda.
Yeah, I've had some pretty bad luck. I feel like the first few races in this league, I spun out every single race. So it was time for a change. I generally like food type liveries, so I'm a big cheese fan, and I don't know, Cheetos are pretty awesome. So I'm going to rock the Cheetos. I needed a change of luck, and it seemed to work.
Get on Google in a second. There's pictures of someone who got Cheeto dust tattooed on their fingertips so that they always have it.
That's not me. I like Cheetos, but not a fan of the dust.
Okay, well, congrats on the podium. Part of a really intense race up front, and good to see you do well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Jared Collins joining us. I'll put him back where he came from. We don't have Murgatroyd or any of them. And Lee Martin didn't do the race. So no one really from Open Class to chat much with. Reese?
Yeah, that's it, I suppose. We can look forward to the next round next week. The schedule showing that we'll be going to our home turf, David, Phillip Island circuit in Australia for the next of our 45-minute races. So second half of the season is well and truly in its stride now. There's going to be a lot of slipstreaming there at Phillip Island, and I think a few high-speed incidents.
I'll give you a 1 week long-range weather forecast. I think it's going to be raining right-hand side tyre changes when Spec-5 World Tour goes to Phillip Island.
Indeed it will. I would assume the same. So let's see what next week brings. But this was a great round 5. I really enjoyed that one.
It always feels like 60 minutes of action squeezed into 45 minutes of racing in Spec-5 World Tour, and another prime example from VIR. Lincoln Fox on the final lap, sticking the pass to take the outright win. Paul Murgatroyd shaking up the Open Class Championship with that 9th place in a race that didn't go Jerry DiPiero's way, the former leader of class. So going in towards round 6 of 12, or is it 13 this season? It's all to play for in Spec-5 World Tour, so we'll hope you'll join us for live coverage or on track next time out. I've been David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. We appreciate your company, and we'll see you next time.